it's been a few years since I filmed this particular area of Woolton, and when I made the video, I purposely filmed it in the autumn, and it's autumn again, just watching those antics there. Yeah, so this area of Woolton I made a video about. It's going back a few years now, and it was called The Expansion of Woolton. I'll put the thumbnail at the end of the video. I think you can click that and it will take you to the video if you've not watched it. Right, let's see if these traffic lights change. Away we go. So I've made a few videos about this particular area of Woolton, and I just wanted to make this one. Which kind of carries on from the video I made a few years ago. I'm going to use an old map to point out various locations, because to me it's really interesting. Don't touch the microphone, Jeffrey, it makes a horrible noise. Right, let's turn here. So this is Out Lane, and we're turning onto Huntscross Avenue, and the colours in the trees are really nice now. Kind of like autumn, it's just when it gets to winter I get really depressed. But the colours in the trees and everything in autumn time, quite spectacular. Right, so let's take a left here into Whitney Place, and this is the area I'm talking about. I made a video about this housing estate a few years ago, and this was built in the early 1930s, I think. Let's go this way, because some people were moved from Quarry Street to here in the early part of the war, so it must have been built in the early 1930s. It's become a lot more sought after now than it was back then. It's a really nice area now, but when this was built, I'll take a left and go round again so that we see a bit more of it. Take a left here. Some of the roads in Woolton, you know, are absolutely atrocious. No, we have this kind of posh label, or the posh end. But the roads, wow, potholes everywhere, cracks everywhere. Right, let's go up this one, which is Halewood Way. Halloween coming up. Some of the houses are decorated. I'm going to take a right, I think. Let this car go past. Get out of our way. But what the point was of the video, this is where Woolton began to expand. And when these were built, there wouldn't have been much else. All this would have been fields, and this housing estate was built on them. Quite radical back then. You can see the idea in the designs that it was to get as many people into a small space as possible. Very much like other buildings that went on at this time. Right, so we're back. I'm going to do a left. Canopy of trees down here is really nice. This is why I chose autumn to do the original video. But as we get back onto Hunts Avenue, tell you what, I won't turn here. I'll carry on down through this canopy. Different designs in the houses as well make it interesting. They're not all the same. I used to come down here quite a lot when I was a early teenager. One of my schoolmates lived in Galway. Used to come down here to see him, and sometimes we would go to his house for dinner time. His dad was good enough to drive my dad to work every day on the number 81 bus. Right, so we're back on Hunts Avenue, and these houses are a later addition. So in other words, these weren't here when that estate was built. So these would have been fields. I'm going to guess that these are like 1950s. Carry on along. We're just going to now go past on the left hand side what we called the bottom shops. Because they were at the bottom of the hill. So Manor Road there. I'm going to do a tour at Manor Road in a second. But we have a road here called Rosefield Road. I've already walked down this one in a video about George Harrison, because I walked down there as a young kid to go and call for George Harrison. He wasn't in. Right, so Rosefield Road led to the Field of Roses. I was going to do a turn round there. So here would have been the Rosefield. I don't remember it, never saw it, but that's what people say. God, do you know, there's cars out, you can't do what you want to do, man. Take a different route to where we want to go. So back when those houses were built, none of this would have been here. Apart from this one. Lindor was here. Lindor Road shows on the old maps. Obviously, these houses weren't here when the map was drawn, so I don't know what was actually here. There's nothing on the map to say. So at this junction here, we come to Manor Road. And Manor Road now runs down to those shops that we've passed. But in the days of the old map, it used to end around about here. It was only as long as this. Now I did try and find out what Lindor means, because it's a strange name. And it has Swedish connotations. There's also Brendor as well, that wasn't there I don't think. So door means something, but it's also got French connections. That's not a film, by the way. Swedish connections, French connections, and also Spanish. When you Google Lindor, it comes up with the Lindt chocolate makers. They call their chocolate Lindor. Spelt different, is it? I think it might be spelt differently. So now we're on Speke Road, and this one here is Watergate Lane, and this is also on the old maps. And again, I don't think, well, I can tell you that these houses were not there at that time. So I was just wondering if Rosefield Road leads to, or used to lead to, a field of roses. Did Watergate Lane used to lead to a Watergate? Nowadays, obviously, it leads to the school. And this week, all the kids are on holiday, half term. I think they're back next Tuesday or Thursday. So I was just wondering, because streets are named for a reason. Roads are named for a reason. Anyway, that's Watergate Lane. I haven't been down there for about 60 years. This is Speke Road, and in the opposite direction it runs through to Hunt's Cross. But on the old maps, from the top of Watergate Lane to its junction with High Street, this section used to be called Chapel Street. So this part of the road has been renamed. And on the corner here, at the top of what is now King's Drive and its junction with Speke Road, before that was built, that would have been the area where Walton Hayes mansion was, which did a video about. But on the corner here where the Coach and Horses used to be, which is now a creche, was the gatehouse for Walton Hayes. Long, long gone. Let's take a right again. Bad choice, I think. There we go. So before this was built, this would have been on the left here where Walton Hayes mansion was. And to get there, you would have had to have gone through the gatehouse, which was next to the pub. Pub was there. So King's Drive, of course, was the first part of a ring road that was going to go around the area of South Liverpool, only they decided in the end not to do it. It's cancelled. That's the drive done. I did say we would look at an old map to illustrate the things I've been saying in the drive. So we're going to have a look at an old map now. In fact, probably going to have a look at more than one. I'll try and tell you what the dates are of the maps as we go along. So hopefully you've stuck around and watched this bit, because I think it's quite interesting, especially if you live in Woolton or have lived in Woolton and moved on. Right, so without further ado, going to have a look at the maps. This is the first map we're going to take a look at, and I'm pretty sure that it dates from 1936. So just so that we get our bearings, this is Menlove Avenue. I hope you can see my little cursor moving along there. So this is Menlove Avenue. If we take a left, we come onto High Street in Woolton Village. So this is where I was driving along, heading along High Street to the traffic lights where it joins or has a junction with Woolton Street. And when the traffic lights changed, we crossed the road and we drove down what on this map would be a very, very new King's Drive. So at the bottom it joins Out Lane, and I took a right turn onto Huntscross Avenue. Now, Huntscross Avenue doesn't exist. All that's here is that housing estate. And all these little boxes here are the houses. Now, to me it looks pretty complete, but there might be one or two missing. So everything else around here is fields, as this would have been a field before the council bought it off somebody and built this housing estate on it. So this is the first part of Woolton's expansion from this area. Shall we just move that to there? So from this area here, which would have been Woolton, and this area here, which also would have been Woolton, to this area, which is now built up with mainly semi-detached houses. So this is the first housing estate in that particular area. Now, as the video progressed, we drove down Woolton High Street and we drove down Huntscross Avenue, and I turned right into Charterhouse Road, which would be somewhere around about here, and drove down Lindor Road, which doesn't seem to be marked on this map, and turned onto Manor Road, turned left onto Manor Road. Now today and from all of my lifetime, Manor Road has run from the top. Speak Road here runs all the way down to Hunts Cross Avenue, where it's basically opposite the shops that we drove past. But you can see here that Manor Road ends there. This expanse of Manor Road hasn't been built yet. Now these roads off are obviously here, and these look like houses, so I'm not quite sure what they were like at the time. This one here would be Brendor, so the one that is missing is Lindor. So we drove to the top of Manor Road, took a little drive along Speak Road, and then turned into Watergate Lane, which is this. So we come down, looks like it comes round. So this is where the school was, at the end here. So that's not there at this particular moment. So if we go up to the top of Watergate Lane, turn right, this is the route we took. And we were back at the traffic lights where High Street and King's Drive meet Woolton Street. So this block here is the Coach and Horses, and on the corner was the gatehouse or the lodge for Walton Hayes, which would have been somewhere around about here. But as you can see, it's not there. So not quite sure when it was demolished, but it was obviously gone by 1936, probably to build this. Right, let's have a look at another map. Right, this map is a little bit earlier. As you can see, it's from 1900. And it shows Watergate Lane here, and lots of trees. Today, this is Speak Road. When we drove up in the video, turn right. The area here is called Chapel Street. So at some point it has changed its name from Chapel Street to Speak Road. The rest of the road was called Speak Road. But for some reason, this little stint here was called Chapel Street. I'm not sure where the chapel was, but usually if something is named as something, then it would be there. If it's Church Street, there's a church. If there's Chapel Street, I would imagine there would have been a chapel. So this here is marked as Liverpool and Bootle Police Orphanage, which is exactly what it was. I think it had a few uses during its lifetime, but today that's been pulled down, and this is now Marie Curie, the cancer charity building where they look after people who have got terminal cancer. So if we move down here, this would be the Coach and Horses, and today that would be a turn onto King's Drive. King's Drive doesn't exist at this particular moment in time, but you can see where the lodge is for Walton Hayes. So it's right on the corner. This is where Woolton Street meets High Street. So High Street there, King's Drive today would go straight across, would be a continuation. And this building here would have been the dairy, which was a dairy for a long time. And the building's still there today. It's cheese shop. Right, this is a slightly expanded version of that map that we've just looked at. So you can see that this is Watergate Lane, and as I said, lots and lots of trees. School would have been there, Ivy Cottage is there on this map, but in this area would have been the school that we drove down to. So we came up Watergate Lane and we turned right. This part would have been Speke Road back in the day, and in modern times all of this is Speke Road. As I said in the other video, the other map that we've just looked at, this is Chapel Street. I hope you can just see that that does say Chapel Street. And onto where that lodge is, and the Coach and Horses pub. So High Street, and this would have been where they built King's Drive, and this is where Walton Hayes was, although I think that is probably Walton Hayes there, and that's the sign for it, because as you go down King's Drive, the area where it was is on the left, so it's either this, or possibly both. So Lost Mansion House there, so he would have gone off into the fields, and this is where the housing estate would have been built that we looked at on Hunts Cross Avenue. Right, just to finish off, I might be a little bit out on the placement of the housing estate and where Hunts Cross Avenue was on that last map, and also the school in Watergate Lane might not be quite where I put the arrow, but basically that's the location. Wouldn't be me if it wasn't quite right, would it? Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch up a little bit sooner than we have been recently. Thanks for watching. Peace.